All right, I'm going to be tying a. Is that my kickoff? All right. I'm going to be tying a dry fly, a very small dry fly. It's meant to mimic a bunch of dead, what I call size 40s. So it's a midge cluster, sort of a combination of the Griffith's gnat and Fran Better's sulfur usual. And again, shout out and credit to Kelly Gallup for getting me into Snowshoe with the Snowshoe hopper. From there, I started tying a lot of the Fran Betters, sulfur usuals. Snowshoe is just I like using natural material. I like using synthetic too, but the idea behind using this was to get a lot of wiggly touch points on the surface of the water as opposed to hackle, which is I use the word manufactured, but it doesn't look buggy when you get really small. It doesn't look buggy enough because those touch points are so defined. And what I'm trying to mimic is a bunch of really not they've seen better days type bugs on the water that some of them are it looks like they've already been chewed, and when you get them in a little clump, that it was the only thing that I could reason that these fish were eating and occasionally really eating. I mean, you can hear those gulps and it's from a bigger fish. So without any more yapping, I'll get a size 20 hook in the vise, take some Snowshoe out, show you how to do that before zooming in, and then I'll get a quick zoom in. Really simple after you get the underfur part squared away. So this is in the heel. This is the foot. This is down in the heel. There's all of this underfur is very hydrophobic, particularly when you apply gink, any type of floatant. I'm gonna be making this a thing, just stealing Kelly's lines that are burned into my brain, but it greases like a champ, and it really does. You put a little floating on this thing, and all of these, I've had people fish it. One of my buddies was fishing it, and he's just like, it isn't. It's so cool the way it floats, and the way that it floats is a bunch of these little. These are my bug legs impersonations. It's just all of the fly is touching all of these little touch points moving along the water, and it was able to. I'm not saying it's there no silver bullets in fishing or in tying, but I boated fish on this fly when single, even down to the 24s and 26s, putting this on a 20, 22, 24, I was getting eats and getting fewer refusals on this. His name is escaping me. Matt. I'll get it and put it in notes. But he has a couple awesome flies. Tightline Videos does a couple as well. The sulfur usual, Fran Better sulfur usual, and a few other ways to utilize Snowshoe. And Matt Grover, what a disaster.
This Sulfur by Matt Grobert
had said that it's nature's. He doesn't even put gink on it. So you give this a couple good false casts and it lands again nice and smoothly. And let's zoom in. Little dry fly hook. So again, no taper on this one. Back to the bend. So I'm going to go down into the toes here. A bit gnarly when you look at, or rather the heel. Here are the toes. So I'm down in the heel with, this is all the guard hairs on top. And when you get underneath, these little guys they can't afford to have cold water, or rather any water getting into the, where their muscles and tendons are, because when it freezes, they would be in trouble. So for this, you can just get in here. I can't tell you how many flies I've tied with one rabbit foot, and I'm not through by any means. So you take out just a little bit. So these are the tips of the guard hairs. So these are the longer, thicker diameter ones, and these start to get into the shorter, thinner diameter ones, and then I'll do that probably just once more and be left with enough for probably 2 or 3 of these small ones. So now I'm splitting this in half. Taking out some of that other fluff. Cord up my thread. Little loop. I'm going to stop about there. You can cut this stuff in half and double it up on your loop, because we don't want to end up having it super wide. These flies are not big. Or rather, they don't have appendages that are this long. So I'm going to go back and use the other half for this as well. You don't have to worry about it being super even. It's going to be about right. If you rotate your vise towards you, you can then, it's easier to slide this up towards your hook. Spread it out a little. And then now, in fairness to the, I don't know, history of fly tying, the sport, I showed this to a guide who's been around here in East Tennessee for 25, 30 years. And he said he recognized it as a, someone else's pattern. There we go, some contrast. So this may not be an original, but nonetheless, effective little midge cluster, this version. Whoa. So again, not many, each of these, the width of this is, there's multiple bugs. It's not like you're trying to go for head, tail. So I like everything kind of being even, and then I'll try to expose the hook a little bit. A lot of the eats I'm seeing when using this are, they're coming up in the film and sipping. So I do want this, I want that hook point sitting down a little bit. And that's what will be on the base or on the meniscus of the water. I think I did a pretty good job of getting some close-ups. I don't know why I'm yelling at the camera. That's the one I should be looking at. Gotta make sure I get my boots and jackets off the floor here. Or if someone feels like, fish and bobbers, I am. We'll restart this one.